Hello, welcome to Political Arena, a production of Voice of Nigeria looking at political happenings and events from Nigeria, Africa and other parts of the world. Today is a special edition. We will be exploring a partnership shaping new frontiers for Nigeria, the Russian Federation, as it engages with Africa's largest democracy. We'll be guided on this great political walk by Russia's ambassador to Nigeria, His Excellency Andrey Podelyshev, a seasoned diplomat who has navigated the global stage, championing Russia's avowed bilateral engagement anchored on mutual respect, non-interference, democratization of industrialization, and collaborative development. Moscow is keen on maintaining relations with Abuja. And so, Ambassador Podelyshev has a clear mandate. From diplomacy to trade, from classrooms to culture halls, and even in the realm of security, Nigeria and Russia are redefining their relationship in ways that could reshape not only bilateral ties, but Africa's place on the world stage.
В этом году, 25 ноября, исполняется 65 лет с момента установления дипломатических отношений между нашими странами. Советский Союз одним из первых признал независимость Нигерии. С тех пор много было сделано в наших отношениях. Был заложен прочный фундамент двусторонних отношений.
This year, on November 25th, marks the 65th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between our two countries. The Soviet Union was among the first to recognize Nigeria's independence. Since then, a great deal has been accomplished and a solid foundation for bilateral cooperation has been laid. The Soviet Union extended support to Nigeria during a particularly difficult period in the late 1960s, when the country was facing a challenge to its national unity. Moscow became the only major power to provide military assistance to the federal government, which, as acknowledged by the Nigerian side, played a key role in preserving the country's territorial integrity. Following the Civil War, the Soviet Union assisted in Nigeria's post-war economic recovery. In 1979, a contract was signed with Technoprom Export for the construction of the Ajaokuta steel mill, the largest metallurgical plant in West Africa. Nigeria also received assistance in the training of professionals for various sectors of the economy, including healthcare, industry and agriculture. Tens of thousands of Nigerians received higher education in the universities of the Soviet Union and later in Russia. In the 1990s, against the backdrop of domestic challenges, Russia's engagement with African countries, including Nigeria, experienced a temporary decline. However, today we can confidently speak of Russia's full-scale return to the African continent. The commitment is evidenced by the two Russia-Africa summits, the first held in Sochi in 2019 and the second in St. Petersburg in 2023. His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari represented Nigeria at the first summit in Sochi, where he held very positive and productive talks with the President of the Russian Federation, His Excellency Vladimir Putin. At the second Russia-Africa summit, Nigeria was represented by a high-level delegation led by Vice President His Excellency Kashim Shettima. The second summit concluded with the adoption of the Russia-Africa Partnership Forum Action Plan for 2023 to 2026. We believe that the implementation of its provisions will positively contribute to the development of our bilateral relations with all African states, including Nigeria. Naturally, bilateral contacts continue to play an important role in advancing our cooperation. The most recent official high-level visit took place in 2009, when the President of Russia, His Excellency Dmitry Medvedev, visited Nigeria. Earlier in 2001, the President of Nigeria, His Excellency Olusegun Obasanjo, paid an official visit to Moscow, during which the Declaration of the Principles of Friendly Relations and Partnership was signed. In October 2017, on the sidelines of the 137th Assembly of the Interparliamentary Union in St. Petersburg, a meeting was held between the chairperson of the Federation Council of the Russian Federation, His Excellency Valentina Matviyenko, and the President of the Nigerian Senate, His Excellency Bukola Saraki. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia, His Excellency Sergei Lavrov, visited Abuja in 2010, while his Nigerian counterpart, His Excellency Geoffrey Onyema, visited Russia in May 2017 and October 2019. In March 2024, His Excellency, Minister Sergei Lavrov held talks in Moscow with Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, His Excellency Yusuf Tugar. In November of the same year, a delegation of Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs participated in the first ministerial conference of the Russia-Africa Partnership Forum. It is very important to maintain such an active political dialogue between our countries at different levels. I see it as my personal mission to fully contribute to this effort.
Moscow has promised sustained support for Nigeria at the international stage. This includes backing Africa's collective demand under the Eswini Consensus for greater representation in the United Nations Security Council. At the same time, Russia has welcomed Nigeria into the expanding BRICS family as a partner country. A few weeks ago, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu attended the most recent summit, signaling Nigeria's readiness to engage with emerging global powers. For Abuja, this partnership opens doors to new alliances, while for Moscow, it means a stronger foothold in Africa's largest economy.
Что касается БРИКС, приглашение Нигерии стать партнером БРИКС было направлено.
Concerning BRICS, the invitation extended to Nigeria to join the organization as a partner country was issued during the Russian Federation's chairmanship of the grouping. We highly appreciate Nigeria's positive response to this proposal and its decision to become a BRICS partner country. Most recently, a BRICS summit was held in Brazil, where Nigeria was represented at the highest level. President Bola Tinubu personally attended the summit. We believe that Nigeria's participation in BRICS as a partner opens up substantial opportunities. These include enhanced economic cooperation with member states, which collectively represent a significant and growing share of the global economy, as well as deeper engagement on political matters through dialogue with key international actors. We are confident that Nigeria will begin to see the benefits of this engagement in the near future. The Russian Federation, for its part, is fully committed to strengthening cooperation with Nigeria within the BRICS framework, jointly elaborating constructive approaches and identifying innovative solutions to the pressing global challenges that confront both our nations and the broader international community.
В настоящее время составляют вот эту вот организацию БРИКС.
Trade has been a sticking point. Nigeria imports far more from Russia than it exports. To address this imbalance, Russia's ambassador says Moscow has pledged new efforts to diversify and boost Nigerian export from agriculture to energy.
Российская страна крайне заинтересована в выравнивании.
Russia is the legal successor of the Soviet Union. Russia remains a party to the bilateral trade agreement on trade between the government of the USSR and the government of Nigeria, signed in Abuja on 10 December 1987. This agreement provides for various mechanisms to facilitate the development of trade and economic relations between our countries and establishes a solid legal foundation for offering preferences and special conditions, particularly in the context of large bilateral projects. It should also be noted that Russia is a member of the Eurasian Economic Union, EAEU, a common market that includes Russia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Armenia and Kyrgyzstan. The EAEU applies unified trade rules with third-party countries. Nigeria has already been included in the EAEU's approved list of countries eligible for preferential customs duty rates. Such agreements are already in force with Vietnam, Singapore, Serbia and Iran. And negotiations are ongoing with a number of others. Nigeria is not yet represented among these countries. It should also be noted that one of the key objectives of the Russian trade mission, which was opened in Nigeria more than 1.5 years ago, is to support and promote trade initiatives, including the identification and facilitation of projects that could qualify for special conditions or priority support from the Russian side.
Security is where cooperation becomes urgent. Instability in Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso has reshaped West Africa's security landscape. Russia and Nigeria agree on the need for dialogue while pledging closer collaboration in counter-terrorism. For Nigeria already battling its own insurgencies, Russian backing could mean intelligence support, training and stronger defense links. Both nations see security as the backbone of their broader partnership. And with Nigeria emerging as a stabilizer in the region, Moscow is keen to align.
Вопрос, касающийся ситуации в Сахаро-Сахельском регионе, обсуждался, как я уже говорил, как я уже упоминал, на встрече министров иностранных дел.
The situation in the Sahara-Sahel region was, as previously mentioned, the subject of discussion during the meeting of our country's foreign ministers in March of last year. Indeed, the developments in Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso have led to a transformation in their relations with the economic community of West African states, which has inevitably had an impact on the overall security landscape in the region. The Russian Federation remains deeply interested in ensuring that the countries of the region uphold a spirit of solidarity and maintain coordinated approaches in responding to the shared challenges they face, challenges that, by their very nature, require the consolidation of efforts. During the recent talks between Foreign Ministers Sergei Lavrov and Yusuf Tugar, both parties expressed hope that constructive steps would be taken on both sides by the new authorities in Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso, as well as by the ECOWAS leadership, to engage in dialogue and seek balanced solutions to the issues at hand. From our perspective, there are already signs that both ECOWAS and the member states of the Confederation are engaging in a mutual search for common ground. Russia, for its part, has affirmed its readiness to contribute to this process in every possible way. We are convinced that it is crucial to preserve the integrative potential of the regional community and to intensify cooperation, including in countering terrorist threats. In this context, the Russian Federation is prepared to provide comprehensive support to the alliance in its three declared priority areas of focus, defense and security, economic cooperation and diplomacy. We are also aware of the efforts undertaken by the Nigerian side to foster and strengthen relations with the Sahel countries. Earlier this year, Nigerian Foreign Minister Yusuf Tugar paid an official visit to Niger, where, according to Nigerian media reports, he held highly constructive talks with his counterpart. We sincerely hope that the understandings reached during that visit will yield tangible results and that cooperation in confronting shared regional threats will continue to deepen. The Russian Federation is ready to support these efforts and to work jointly with regional partners in combating terrorism in all its forms. With regard to the issue of United Nations reform, this matter has been under-discussed for quite some time, and the need for substantive reform, including of the Security Council, is widely acknowledged. The Russian Federation supports the expansion of the Security Council's permanent membership with a particular emphasis on increasing the representation of countries from the Global South, including African states. In this context, we are guided by the existing agreements, notably the Esilwin Consensus, which outlines Africa's collective position on the issue. We believe it is important to continue work on defining the parameters of Africa's participation in the Security Council based on this consensus. We anticipate that consultations between our respective foreign ministries will continue, and through these diplomatic engagements, we will further refine our shared understanding of the objectives of the reform process and develop coordinated approaches regarding the future structure of the United Nations.
Beyond trade, education remains one of the strongest bridges. Over 2,000 Nigerians are currently studying in Russia, with more than 800 on scholarships provided annually. Yet, recent changes, including Nigeria's federal government ending support for living costs, have forced some students to return home. Russia is now negotiating with Nigeria and educational institutions to keep this lifeline open. In Nigerian universities, alumni of Russian universities, many of them doctors, engineers and educators, continue to play vital roles in Nigeria's development. Education is more than books. It is about building bridges that last for generations.
Спасибо за ваш вопрос. По нашим данным, в настоящее время в российских вузах...
According to our data, over 2,000 Nigerian citizens are currently enrolled in Russian universities, more than 800 of whom are studying under government scholarships annually provided by the Russian Federation as part of the state quota program. For the 2024-2025 academic year, the Russian side allocated 220 quota-based slots, and we are counting on further growth of this figure. At the same time, following the recent decision by the Nigerian federal authorities to officially refuse to reimburse expenses related to transport and other living costs for participants of scholarship programs, a number of students were forced to discontinue their studies. This situation causes us serious concern as it prevents the full realization of the potential of our cooperation in the educational sphere. Nevertheless, despite the federal government's refusal to provide financial support, we note the willingness of a number of Nigerian state governments and private educational institutions to assume these expenses. In this regard, we plan to hold consultations with the Nigerian Ministry of Education to discuss how the system of selecting students for the scholarship program will function in the new circumstances, where the Nigerian federal government no longer provides such support. We hope that through joint efforts, we will be able to adapt the rules of selection to the current conditions. As for the bilateral agreements in education between our countries, there are currently two in effect, both signed during the Soviet period. The agreement between the government of the USSR and the Federal Military Government of Nigeria on cultural and scientific cooperation and exchanges, February 22, 1970. And the protocol on the equivalence of diplomas and certificates issued by educational institutions in both countries, May 18, 1983. We believe these agreements are in need of renewal. The Russian side has submitted to the Nigerian government a draft agreement on the mutual recognition of educational qualifications, academic degrees and diplomas intended to replace the 1983 protocol, and we are currently awaiting a response from the Nigerian side. We also consider it appropriate to explore the possibility of signing a memorandum of understanding between the ministries of education of our two countries, which, in our view, would also contribute to the development of educational contracts between our countries.
Culture is the soul of diplomacy. In July, Russia's ambassador met with Nigeria's Minister of Culture to expand cultural exchanges. Talks are underway for Nigerian performers to take part in Russian festivals and for Russian artistic assemblies to tour Nigeria. This soft power approach is not just about heritage, but also about creative industries, music, film and art, sectors where Nigeria already shines. If nurtured, cultural ties could add new depth to political and economic partnerships.
Россия и Нигерия действительно обладают уникальными культурными и историческим наследием. Нигерия – страна с богатейшей этнокультурной палитрой, где гармонично существует.
Russia and Nigeria indeed possess a unique cultural and historical heritage. Nigeria is a country with an exceptionally rich ethno-cultural mosaic, where hundreds of ethnic groups and languages coexist harmoniously. Each ethnic group contributes to the formation of an authentic and vibrant cultural environment. Unfortunately, we have not yet been able to fully unlock the potential of our cultural cooperation. Significant work still lies ahead in this direction. Nevertheless, the process has already been launched. In early July, I held a substantive meeting with the Minister of Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy of Nigeria, Her Excellency Ms. Hannatu Musa Musawa. During the conversation, we agreed on the need to expand cultural exchanges, including possible tours of Russian artistic ensembles, as well as the participation of Nigerian performers in international festivals in Russia. Support was expressed for joint initiatives in the preservation of cultural exchange and the development of creative industries. At least 2 joint projects could already be implemented this year. We believe that in order to ensure the sustainability of bilateral interaction in the cultural sphere, it is necessary to give this cooperation a systemic character. It is important that activities in this area become part of our overall bilateral agenda. In our view, this will be facilitated by the Memorandum of Understanding between the Ministry of Culture of Russia and the Ministry of Information and National Orientation of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Its draft has been transmitted to the Ministry of Culture, and we are awaiting a response from the Nigerian side. For its part, the embassy carries out initiatives aimed at familiarizing the Nigerian public with Russian culture and history. Particularly, in 2025, within the first half of the year, we organized 2 photo exhibitions at the embassy. one was dedicated to a very significant date in our history, the 80th anniversary of victory in the Great Patriotic War.
Но действительно, продвижение русского языка в Нигерии мы считаем в качестве одной из основных своих задач как посольство.
The promotion of the Russian language abroad is one of the key objectives of Russia's humanitarian policy, and in Nigeria, we consider it an important task of our embassy. Currently, a number of initiatives are being implemented in this area. The Russian Ministry of Education is actively establishing centers for open education, which provide teaching and learning of the Russian language abroad. These centers are typically hosted by local universities. The host universities provide classrooms, while the necessary equipment is purchased and installed by the Russian side. At the initial stage of these centers' operation, the Ministry of Education of Russia usually sends Russian professors for a period of 2 to 3 weeks to hold in-person classes with Nigerian students. Afterwards, the teaching continues in an online format. I would like to highlight that in 2021, the Russian African Network University, RAFU, was launched under Peter the Great, St. Petersburg Polytechnic University. RAFU promotes international programs aimed at supporting the teaching of the Russian language abroad, as well as fostering academic and humanitarian cooperation between Russian and African universities. At present, more than 40 universities from over 11 African countries have joined the project. Unfortunately, Nigerian universities appear to be insufficiently informed about RAFU's activities and have not yet signed cooperation agreements with it. We hope that we will be able to encourage Nigerian universities to join this project as well. Moreover, alongside the existing Russian government scholarship program, the Russian Federation is considering the launch of a grant program. While the scholarship program covers tuition fees only, the grant program will provide full coverage of tuition, accommodation and medical insurance during the student's stay in Russia. We hope that Nigeria will be included in this program, if not this year, then next year. Naturally, this program will target the most gifted students, with selection based either on their academic records or participation in special competitions and Olympiads. We also attach great importance to the development of academic exchanges, internships and two-way visits of students and professors within the framework of inter-university cooperation. The Russian Embassy in Nigeria, in Abuja, is ready to assist Nigerian universities in re-establishing contact with Russian higher education institutions and in signing relevant agreements in order to expand such cooperation. The Russian Embassy in Nigeria, in Abuja, is ready to assist Nigerian universities in re-establishing contact with Russian higher education institutions and in signing relevant agreements in order to expand such cooperation. Nigerian graduates in Russian universities play an important role in strengthening bilateral relations between the Russian Federation and the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There is an active association of Nigerian alumni of Russian universities, which regularly participates in events organized by the embassy, including the celebration of Russia Day. We look forward to further strengthening cooperation with them. Through their education in Russia, they not only acquire professional expertise, but also become well-informed ambassadors of Russian society, culture and values. Many of them continue to promote Russian interests by fostering humanitarian and academic links and serving as bridges between the two nations. Their contribution is vital in shaping a positive image of Russia within Nigerian society. Engineering and medical fields have traditionally been the most popular choices among Nigerian students in Russian universities. The knowledge they acquire is applied in key sectors of the Nigerian economy, such as healthcare, pharmaceuticals, construction and energy. Thanks to their professionalism and competencies, Nigerian alumni can help facilitate the development of new industries in Nigeria, introduce advanced technologies into the healthcare system, improve the quality of medical services for the population, and address workforce needs in major infrastructure and industrial projects, including the energy and metallurgy sectors.
From the halls of the United Nations to the classrooms of Moscow, from the markets of Lagos to the deserts of the Sahel, Nigeria and Russia are writing a new chapter. But the big question remains, will these promises deliver real benefit for ordinary Nigerians in jobs, security and opportunity? We'll find out in the years ahead. That's it for this edition of Political Arena. In our next edition, we'll take a deep dive into political happenings in the Democratic Republic of Congo. You can find out more about what's happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo and other parts of the world by simply liking, sharing and subscribing to this channel. Not forgetting our social media handles and website. That's www.von.gov.ng. See you next time. Bye for now.